peaceful town of Pahalgam in India-administered Kashmir, known for its serene landscapes and welcoming atmosphere, was shattered on April 22, 2025, by an unexpected and brutal act of violence. Gunmen attacked, killing 26 innocent people, leaving the community in shock and mourning. This horrific act of violence sent shockwaves through the region and beyond, capturing the attention of the entire nation. The picturesque valley, known for its beauty and tranquility, suddenly became a place of sorrow and fear. It became a symbol of the fragile peace between India and Pakistan, a peace that now seemed more precarious than ever. The world watched with bated breath, fearing the worst, as tensions escalated rapidly. The Pahalgam incident had the potential to unravel years of tentative peace efforts between the two nuclear-armed neighbors, efforts that had been painstakingly built over decades. The attack served as a grim reminder of the deep-rooted tensions that continue to plague the Indian subcontinent, tensions that have historical and political roots. The incident cast a long shadow on the already strained relations between India and Pakistan, making diplomatic efforts even more challenging. It reignited old wounds and fueled a new wave of mistrust and animosity, with people on both sides expressing their fears and frustrations. The question on everyone's mind was, could this be the spark that ignites a larger conflict? The world held its breath, hoping for peace but preparing for the worst. India was quick to accuse Pakistan of orchestrating the Pahalgam attack, pointing fingers at their neighbor almost immediately after the tragic event. They pointed fingers at Pakistan-based militant groups, alleging their involvement in the massacre, and demanded swift action against those responsible. Pakistan vehemently denied any involvement, calling the accusations baseless and provocative. They insisted that India was jumping to conclusions without concrete evidence. They urged India to refrain from pointing fingers and instead cooperate in a transparent investigation, emphasizing the need for a joint effort to uncover the truth. The diplomatic fallout was swift and severe, with both nations quickly taking steps that would further strain their already fragile relationship. India recalled its High Commissioner from Pakistan and expelled Pakistani diplomats from India, a move that was mirrored by Pakistan shortly after. The Indus Water Treaty, a landmark agreement regulating water sharing between the two countries, was suspended by India, adding another layer of tension. Cross-border trade, already limited, was completely halted, affecting the economies of both nations and the livelihoods of many. Pakistan responded in kind, recalling their High Commissioner from India and expelling Indian diplomats, further deepening the diplomatic crisis. They suspended all bilateral trade, including informal trade routes that had flourished despite previous tensions, leading to a complete standstill in economic exchanges. The blame game escalated, with both sides hardening their stances and resorting to heated rhetoric, making any hope for reconciliation seem increasingly distant. To understand the current crisis, one must delve into the historical context of the Kashmir conflict. Since the partition of British India in 1947, Kashmir has been a bone of contention between India and Pakistan. Both countries claim the region in its entirety, but each controls only a part. The conflict has led to 3 major wars and numerous skirmishes between India and Pakistan. The line of control, a de facto border dividing the region, remains heavily militarized and volatile. Generations have grown up amidst conflict, their lives overshadowed by the unresolved dispute. The Pahalgam incident has ripped open old wounds, reminding the world that the Kashmir issue remains a dangerous flashpoint. The unresolved dispute continues to poison relations between India and Pakistan, hindering any progress towards peace and stability in the region. Adding fuel to the fire are the ongoing insurgencies in Balochistan and Pashtunistan, regions within Pakistan bordering Afghanistan. These insurgencies, fueled by demands for greater autonomy and control over resources, have simmered for decades. In Balochistan, separatist groups have long fought for independence, accusing the Pakistani government of exploitation and human rights abuses. The Pashtun Tahaffuz movement in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan demands an end to extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, accusing the Pakistani army of targeting Pashtuns. These insurgencies have intensified in recent years, leading to increased violence and instability. The Pahalgam incident has further complicated the situation, with accusations and counter-accusations flying between India and Pakistan regarding each other's involvement in these internal conflicts. Section 5. The ties that bind. Trade amidst tensions. Despite the official trade bans and the hostile rhetoric, India and Pakistan remain economically intertwined. While formal trade between the two countries is minimal, unofficial trade, routed through third countries like Dubai, Colombo, and Singapore, flourishes. This unofficial trade, estimated at billions of dollars annually, highlights the economic interdependence between the two nations. Essential goods like textiles, agricultural products, and pharmaceuticals flow between India and Pakistan through these informal channels. The persistence of this unofficial trade, even during periods of heightened tension, underscores the economic realities that bind these nations together. It suggests that despite the political animosity, there are strong underlying economic incentives for cooperation. Section 6. Living on the edge. The nuclear threat. The most alarming aspect of the current crisis is the specter of nuclear war. Both India and Pakistan possess nuclear weapons, making any escalation extremely dangerous. The Pahalgam incident has brought the world perilously close to a potential nuclear confrontation. The risk of miscalculation or an accidental escalation is high in such a tense environment. The bellicose rhetoric and the lack of communication channels between the two countries further heighten the risk. The international community is watching with growing concern, urging restraint and dialogue. The consequences of a nuclear conflict between India and Pakistan would be catastrophic, not just for the two countries, but for the entire world. The humanitarian cost would be unimaginable, and the long-term environmental impact would be devastating. Section 7. A world watching international concerns and calls for peace. The international community has expressed grave concern over the escalating tensions between India and Pakistan. The United Nations, the United States, China, Russia, and other world powers have called for restraint and urged both sides to engage in dialogue. Mediation efforts are being initiated by various countries and international organizations. The focus is on de-escalating the situation, restoring communication channels, and encouraging both sides to return to the negotiating table. There's a growing consensus that only through dialogue and diplomacy can a lasting solution to the Kashmir conflict be found. The international community is urging India and Pakistan to prioritize peace and stability over their decades-old rivalry. Section 8. The path forward, dialogue, not destruction. The path forward for India and Pakistan is clear dialogue, not destruction. Both countries must recognize that resorting to violence will only lead to more suffering and instability. They must prioritize the well-being of their people over their political differences. The first step is to de-escalate the situation by toning down the rhetoric and resuming communication. Both sides must refrain from actions that could be perceived as provocative or escalatory. Confidence-building measures, such as restoring cross-border trade and cultural exchanges, could help ease tensions. The international community can play a constructive role by facilitating dialogue, providing mediation, and offering support for peace-building initiatives. A multilateral approach involving regional powers and international organizations is crucial for achieving lasting peace. Section 9. Conclusion. A shared future, a fragile hope. The Pahalgam incident is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace in South Asia. The scars of conflict are visible, and the echoes of past violence still resonate in the valleys and towns. The India-Pakistan conflict, fueled by historical grievances, territorial disputes, and internal insurgencies, continues to cast a long shadow over the region. The border remains a tense and heavily militarized zone, a constant reminder of unresolved issues. The nuclear dimension adds another layer of complexity and danger. The presence of nuclear weapons on both sides raises the stakes, making any miscalculation potentially catastrophic. However, amidst the despair, there is a glimmer of hope. The resilience of the people, their ability to find joy and celebrate life, even in the face of adversity, is inspiring. The economic interdependence between the two countries, driven by trade and commerce, creates a web of connections that can foster peace. The international pressure for dialogue from global organizations and allies adds another layer of hope for a peaceful resolution. And the shared desire for peace among the people of both nations provides a foundation for building a better future. Cultural exchanges and grassroots movements show that the common people yearn for harmony. The road ahead will be long and arduous, filled with challenges and obstacles that will test the resolve of both nations. But the alternative, continued conflict and the risk of nuclear war, is unthinkable. The devastation that could ensue is beyond comprehension. The time for dialogue, reconciliation, and cooperation is now. Diplomatic efforts must be intensified to pave the way for lasting peace. The future of 1 billion people hangs in the balance. Their hopes, dreams, and aspirations depend on the choices made today.